Yes, guys, it's Thiago's father 89 back on your screens here for the Watford preview. I am joined by some very special guests from the Red Sea podcast. It's the Fab Four. It's Watford versus Liverpool at Vicarage Road. Without further ado, let's get the intro going. Let's get into it.
Tell the world we are Liverpool, champions of England.
We've conquered all of Europe. We're never gonna stop. From Palestine to Turkey, we've won the fucking lot. Got Paisley and the Shankly, the fields of Anfield gold. We are all supporters, and we come from Liverpool.
Good evening, guys. I am back on your screen again, and we are here for the Fab 4 preview. I'm joined by my co-host, Southern Scouser. I'm also joined by SMS, our resident statman Stubbs, and one of my favorite co-hosts as well, PK the GOAT from our Red Sea Down Under team. Gentlemen, how is everybody?
Very good, mate. Very good.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, very well. My first show from my new place, so I'm getting all Liverpool stuff behind.
Yeah,
I have to give you some close up to that.
Hold on, where's the plaque I brought you? That should be front and center.
It's on there, but I can't.
No,
I haven't got anywhere for the wall.
You see it. That needs to be hanging behind your head.
I'll show you this. This is good. I'll show you this one before we get going.
Yeah,
it's in the garage.
Yeah, I'll check this one out. Bus parade.
Yeah, we like that. I'm
Special year when we won.
Moving in gifts, because if they're not going to take pride and center place on your mantelpiece, I will not be buying you any more moving in gifts.
Well, I need somewhere for it to go so you can see it.
Yeah. I hope that falls off the wall and breaks.
My pride and joy, that is. Got that in Liverpool.
Oh gosh! Shout out to Chris Welch. You beat me to it. SS bringing a fresh trim to the Red Sea podcast, looking absolutely dapper from his new apartment. I'm sure he's up to something this evening. You can tell. Yeah. You can't tell your hand to be quiet, chat.
Yeah, you're about right.
Oh, God. All right, let's get into it because we've got official business. It's Watford versus Liverpool, and guys, obviously, Watford has been a mixed bag in terms of happy hunting grounds over the last couple of years. So, SMS, Statman Stubbs, please hit the viewers with the recent head-to-heads.
Yeah, so the record at Vicarage Road is Watford have won 2 games, Liverpool have won 11, and there's been 1 draw. At Anfield, there's Watford wins as 4, Liverpool wins as 8, and there's been 2 draws. In total, Watford have scored 26 goals, Liverpool have scored 66, and the last 5 results, most recently 3-0 to Watford, then it was 3-0 to Liverpool, then it was the 3-3 game, which was Mo Salah's first game for Liverpool, then the 1-0 Emre Can overhead kick, and then 3-0 to Watford again under Klopp's first season back in 2015. So Watford, as you can see at Vicarage Road, 2 3-0 victories against us quite recently as well. So it's going to be an interesting game.
That Emre Can overhead kick just gave me shit.
Unbelievable.
No, it was. It was just the direction of the ball. Like it kind of went like that, didn't it? It was unbelievable.
Crazy.
Unbelievable.
And then they
the way
did
he
that.
took it, just coming across his body as well on the angle, just bang, just goes. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
They did that slow mo, didn't they? The Sky Sports one when they like zoom into the grass with all like the ball and HD. It looks amazing.
Oh mate, that was unreal. But like you said, it's been a mixed bag at Vicarage Road, isn't it? In terms of the results that we've had, and hopefully tomorrow will be very different. So I'm a little bit worried, gentlemen. We've got the issue of the Brazilians, and it worries me. I'm sitting here thinking, are we going to see a Milner in the anchor role? Because we're not going to have any Fabinho. Are we going to see Kevin Callahan in goal because we're not going to have any Alisson Becker. Like, we're going to have to rotate. I think we're going to be forced to rotate. And SS, I'll come to you on this one as well. Where do you see the major surgery being done in the team in terms of personnel? And who do you think that personnel will be?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the major surgery is definitely the Brazilians, isn't it? They're an absolute no-go. We were just talking off air as well. Alisson didn't even play in that final Brazil game. So a little bit disappointing that he wasn't able to return. But yeah, Kelleher definitely starts the game. Good old Wanderers. But I was asking about that before we started as well, which it looked more like the old Mario Wario kind of.
Yeah.
Literally. But in terms of the holding role, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because naturally Henderson goes in there, but we're so short on other midfield options. I don't know if Milner can play in one of the other two midfield positions for 90 minutes. So it would make sense for the older man to play in the holding role, and Hendo does his box to box from the right, like he's usually does. So I think that will be the major surgery. In terms of rotation, with internationals, it's always very difficult because they all come back at different times from different places, having played different minutes. So we were mentioning Naby Keita's played in all 3 for Guinea. I think Van Dijk played in 2 for Holland, even be it the second one, a 6-0 against Gibraltar, which he probably didn't break sweat, even when he scored his header. But I think we'll see a pretty similar team to last week against, 2 weeks ago now, against Manchester City. But I think, Milner most likely comes in. All of the guys that have been not on international breaks, you'd expect to see. So probably an Oxlade-Chamberlain probably get thrown in there as well if he's not broken a toe now. Front three again, you'd expect Firmino probably. I think Jota had that knock, but could feature. And then all the usual suspects are still out injured, aren't they? Like your son. So we'll see. You might even chuck in a Konate and a Tsimikas. It's very difficult because next week we've got Atletico on Tuesday, who will get a weekend off this week for some reason, just because they've got 3 South Americans instead of 2 that can't play. And obviously United next weekend. So we need to look after them. We need to rotate. But I think it'd be a fairly similar one to last week, but with a couple of changes.
You made some good points in there as well. And PK, I'll come to you on this. You've done an absolutely exceptional show in terms of the training ground. And guys, if you're in the comments as well, please head over to our YouTube channel and check that out. Honestly, it is top tier content. There isn't any shows out there that are giving dedicated tactical analysis in the way that we do it on the training ground from a pro level and pro licensed coach. We are so privileged to have PK in the team. But I really want to go back to that midfield, because that's a worry for me. Milner in any role in the midfield isn't the same as what it has been over the last couple of years. You normally find Milner as the player which will come on at the 70th minute and just shore things up for you if you need that in the midfield. But for him to play a full 90 or potentially a full 90 in that midfield anchor role, is that an area where we're going to be weakened quite significantly in that position?
For what we want to do in order to try and break down, because the training ground this week was actually so difficult, believe it was actually harder than doing Manchester City, purely because we don't know. We've never seen them play under Ranieri. So it's one of them ones, we just don't know what's going to happen. But if we base it on what he likes to do and what they've done, and if he mixes the two a little bit, what we need to do to beat them, James Milner isn't the answer. But to kind of stop them from what they need to do to beat us, James Milner will be okay because he has to press. The press in the midfield has to be good to stop them playing long early, like to Dennis and to Sarr out wide early. So in terms of stopping them a little bit, yeah, because we know James Milner can run. We know that he runs 15 kilometers per game. We know that he can press well, which is fine. Again, not an issue. But the problem for us with the ball and trying to break them down is going to be the problem. And that's something that with that midfield, I mean, Henderson isn't the most creative person. Oxlade, we don't know what we're going to get from him. I mean, if it's anything like the Norwich game, then we're in trouble. So it is a tricky one coming into that game.
I agree with you. And surely a game like that would be made, and I'll come to you on this, Statman, for Naby Keita, just to try and get some penetration, to try and break the lines and do we? And I know Naby's played quite a few minutes for Guinea, but do we see Naby coming into that game? Could he be that option that comes into the Watford game and actually breaks them down?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think so, but like you said, he's played 3 games in the space of a week and a half, and that's very unlike Naby Keita, isn't it? Or very unheard of, anyway. Put it that way. I'd like to see him in there because realistically, you've only got really him, Ox, and maybe Minamino who have got that creative spark, who could play there potentially, but. Yeah, we're on slim pickings at the moment with Harvey Elliott, Curtis Jones, Fabinho, and Thiago all out. So we haven't really got much choice to potentially play him. It would be either Naby Keita or Ox for me, really.
And you nicely fell into my trap. Curtis Jones. I am so pissed about the situation with Curtis Jones. And guys, you know what's coming is going to be a fucking TF89 rant. I am about the situation with Curtis Jones. Like, when are international managers going to realise that games against fucking part-timers don't matter? Why are we playing games against doctors, solicitors, lawyers who have nothing better to do with their time apart from throw on a fucking Andorra strip just because they can? Let's be honest. These games don't mean anything. Whether it be at the under-21 level or the senior level, it doesn't mean fuck all because the result is a foregone conclusion. Why do we even play these nations? This is why I do not watch international football, because the qualification process to get to a World Cup is a fucking sham. It's bollocks. Like, it just doesn't mean anything. We're parking off teams 4-5-0, stupid shit like that. What is a young player like Curtis Jones learning from playing in that fixture? Then to couple it with an injury, let alone the England medical team, according to Jurgen Klopp in his presser today, didn't even give him a scan to see if everything was okay. They send him packing back to his club for him to then say, boss, I think I'm injured. Get a scan. Oh, whoop-de-doo, you're injured. But you played 30 minutes in a pointless game. I mean, SS, I can see you shaking your head. I think you've probably got the same opinion as me because it's just cruelty for a player which has just started to put his prints and his paws all over that midfield. He's just and a game against Watford is another opportunity for him to assert himself, to say, do you know what? I'm here. Yeah.
It's built for him, isn't it? That kind of match.
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel for him because he's going to want to get into the Watford game. He's going to want to decimate that Watford midfield, probably help himself to have a couple of assists, maybe grab a goal, and then turn around and say to Jurgen Klopp, like, look, I know we're playing Manchester United, but I just parked off Watford, parked off Brentford the other week, or parked off Norwich. How many more teams do you want me to play off this park before?
Throw Porto into that list.
Yeah,
Porto as well. I put a decent performance against City. How many other teams do you want me to destroy before you turn around and say, do you know what, Naby Keita? You went for us. We got Curtis Jones. Or it pains me to say, do you know what, Thiago? You need to now work to get back into this midfield ahead of Curtis Jones. Do you see what I'm saying? So, SS, give me your take on this before I throw my mic.
No, I agree. I mean, obviously, like you say, Curtis Jones is in the under-21s. I think that was only a 1-0 victory. But again, it's when you look at the full international teams, and I know Australia have had a similar thing, Pete. They were qualifying in the Oceanic, and it was just a waste of time playing against the volcano. Yeah. And then you decided to go in the Asian qualifiers, and it was a little bit more, competitive. But yeah, there's definitely something they could do. I don't think England playing against Andorra is really for anybody. I think the likes of Andorra and Faroe Islands and all the rest of them should have their own little thing, and the winner of that one potentially gets a chance to go into the main draw. But yeah, when we're playing teams outside the top 150, I just don't get it, because like you say, the only thing that's going to happen is the defenders are so far out their depth that they're going to be chucking in tackles, and players are going to get injuries and knocks. And we get enough anyway. People like Jota coming back with a knock, and he might be okay, but it always seems to be the way that players always seem to get injured for their countries. We've had Joe Gomez as well come back with a ridiculous injury from England. It's just it's not once or twice, it's every international break. You can guarantee at least one Liverpool player will come back unavailable for the next game. So I'm getting a bit annoyed with it. I mean, we're now all into the fact that we're playing 3 international games per break because they were a year behind with World Cup qualifiers because of COVID. So it's even more stress into the fixture list. And I don't really see the point. You know, we start the season, I think a week later we have an international break. We're now in an international break in October. 4 weeks' time, there's another one in November. And then we've got nothing till March. And you just think, why? Why do you need all these breaks? You've got a whole summer of no tournament this summer, haven't you? You know, you could do it from June, July, August. They could do as many international games as they like. They could do qualifiers when there's not a tournament, you know, Nations League, all the rest of it. I don't know why we're playing international games every 4 weeks in the busiest part of the season. It's just bizarre to me. So yeah, I think it needs to be looked at, to be honest. I think it's, you know, to get to November and you've had 3 international breaks is just bizarre.
Crazy.
You know, everybody's sick of it. Everybody on Twitter is like, get the football back, get the proper football back. So it's not just us. Everybody's sick of it.
Yeah.
I'd love to know what the players think. I'd love to know what the players think of all that stuff, to be honest.
I think it's clear. I think it's clear what the players think. And Jurgen Klopp made a fantastic observation. And we're not unique in this. We're not sitting here going that Liverpool are unique in this, because we're not. Manchester City are the same. United are the same. United have lost Rafael Varane.
Yeah.
In a game. Correct, in a game in the UEFA Nations League final. Shut up.
Why is that being played in October? You got a summer to do that.
What even is that? The UEFA Nations League final.
It's a glorified friendly game.
Exactly. I'm not being funny. You saw the adulation on the French team's face when they lifted the trophy. They were like, I can't give a fuck about this. I want to get back to my club. What is this bottom tier shit?
Well, they've already won the World Cup. It's not going to compare, is it?
It's never going to compare. Exactly. It's never going to compare. And arguably one of the biggest fixtures in world football, Manchester United versus Liverpool. Varane's potentially out of his first Liverpool-Manchester United fixture. He potentially may not feature. All because he goes away an international break. Oh, yeah, don't get me wrong. I am jumping for joy. My foot is...
Same happened to us last season, though, didn't it?
Yeah, but do you know what I mean? My foot is tapping under the table so hard with adulation that Varane isn't going to play in that game. But I'm a football fan. I want to see the best players playing the biggest fixtures. Yeah, that's what you want to see. I want to see our strongest 11 go toe-to-toe with their strongest 11. I want to see Pogba on the pitch. I want to see our CR7 on the pitch. Varane, Maguire, Sancho, all their big stars, I want to see them out in full force. Because when we absolutely annihilate them, there can be no excuses. There can be no, Varane was out, Maguire was missing, CR7 tied his shoelaces the wrong way around because of his superstition, so we didn't score. Whatever the fuck it might be, we can confidently walk out of that game and say, we beat you. But we're never going to do that when players are pulling up in pointless friendlies.
Yeah.
And breathe.
Right.
Agreed with every word.
Yeah. Look, so we're going to jog it on slightly. And SMS, I'm going to come to you on this as well, because where do we feel that Claudio Ranieri is going to have an impact? They call him the Tinker Man. They don't call him the Tinker Man for nothing. Yeah. And it's the Tinker Man effect. Where do we feel that Claudio is gonna impact this Watford team? Because we look at what he did with Leicester. Leicester with Nigel Pearson's team were borderline relegated. They saved their asses. Yeah. He comes in, and I'm not suggesting for 1 minute, anybody in the audience that wants to try and clip this, I'm not saying that Watford are going to win the league next year.
Whack 5K on Watford, quick.
But if you are a betting man, the last time he came in after manager was sacked in the same period, the next year he won the league. But what can the Tinker Man do different with Watford?
It's difficult to say, really, because, I mean, it's still the same players. It's just a different manager in charge. So generally you do get a reaction when there's a new manager in charge. But, I mean, when you link it back, I mean, You go for when we played Newcastle up at St James's Park. Alan Pardew was the manager then. We obviously got beat that day. I think we had Watford, Nigel Pearson's first game at Anfield. I think we ended up winning that game 2-0, but that was a difficult game, so it wasn't easy. I think we've played 3 or 4 teams now where we're going into a game where it's a new manager, so it's a different expectation. I think the last time we were beaten by a new manager was Craig Shakespeare for Leicester. So it's going to be difficult because, again, he won't have had the time to work with as many players. I don't know how many would have been on international duty, but I think the main area where he can look to work on, especially with our injuries in midfield, is obviously look to try and overstrengthen us and overpower us in midfield, because I think at the minute, if you look on paper, they've probably got the better players in midfield with the amount of injuries that we've got out at the moment.
That's harsh. It's not that bad.
So we've got quite a few
going there. Tom Cleverley.
Definitely.
Look, let's be clear, yeah. He did it with Leicester, and in the year that Leicester, the year before Leicester won the league, they were everybody's whipping boys. They got whipped by everyone. Everybody whipped their asses in that league in that year. They got annihilated. He comes in, all of a sudden, there's this rejuvenation, this confidence, and they got Danny Drinkwater, who arguably is a bottom tier baller. Yeah, just getting the ball in midfield, getting his head up, and hitting Jamie Vardy in behind. Now, let's look at it. In their midfield, they've probably got a player that can get a ball and put it over the top. They've got pace up top with Ismail Sahar. What's stopping them? What's stopping them this weekend getting the ball from back to front incredibly quickly and hitting our nice high line on a counter-attack? They did it in the 3-0 against us last time. That's how they scored. That's how they scored one of their goals. The ball was just in behind, and Van Dijk got caught napping. It pains me to say, but he got caught napping. The ball from the throw-in, ball into feet, turned, boom, in behind. Van Dijk couldn't affect it. Ismail Sahar, boom, pace, gone. See you later. Yeah?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I think they've been playing 4-2-3-1 under Xisco. But I remember when Ranieri went into Leicester, he kind of changed it to a 4-4-2. He had Jamie Vardy with an Ajoa or an Okazaki. So he kind of had your pace next to someone that can hold the ball up.
No, that's a name from the past, isn't it?
Okazaki, yeah. And I look at Watford, and they've got Josh King, haven't they, from the old Bournemouth guy. Yeah. He could very much play in that role of ball into feet, hold it up, big number 9, with Ismail Sarr up there alongside him. So will we see a change of formation? Potentially. Whether or not, I think they've got some big injuries at centre-back. I think like literally their main 3 centre-backs are all out injured. So whether they'll overcompensate and go for a back 5 or just try and do what we did and just play midfielders at centre-back, I don't know. But again, it's difficult to see, but you know for a fact that Sarr is going to be, the main man that they're going to be looking for on the counter-attack.
PK, I can see you're dying to say something, but let's just quickly, Chris, address this comment here. Yeah, I'm just playing devil's advocate. That's it. That's all I'm doing. All I can do is present the facts, my man. That's all I can do. Yeah. Don't come for me in the comments, bro. I don't want that smoke. Leave me alone.
I was King injured as well. Blimey.
Yeah.
He's not completely ruled out. I think it was 75% chance of playing.
Okay.
So yeah,
they've got Emmanuel Dennis as well, though, haven't they? He's a decent player
Dennis,
as well.
Yeah, he's been very good lately. So yeah.
So PK, my question to you is who's their danger man? Who's their man that we need to watch out for?
That's the obvious one. It's the Senegalese, Ismail Sarr. So it's something that. It's he was. I think he was the one that was obviously on international break this week, but I can't remember if there's any more from that group who went away. So, if anything, I reckon he's had about 85% of his squad to work with for this match. Whereas we've had 10% of our squad ready for this match. So it's something that he can prepare, but then the boys are right. There's a huge centre back issue at the moment for them, which is good. I mean, because the form that Salah's in and you know the way we've been attacking lately is probably the best news heading into this weekend. But I look at their midfield between, like I said, someone wrote that in earlier, Sissoko or Kuka, whatever how we say his name. They're not technically as gifted as the Leicester midfield in a way, and they're actually mistake prone. So during the work that we were doing for this match, their midfielders, their team in general, just don't want to keep the ball. Like it's something that they look to getting forward as quickly as possible. And you said, what can Ranieri change? I think Ranieri just introduces a bit more defensive kind of discipline, what he'll introduce. And he said in his press conference, right? So I watched his press conference for Watford, and he said, I'm not coming here to change the world. I'm coming here to play to their strengths. So whatever that means to you guys, that's your interpretation, no problem. But then he did say, we do need to condense spaces though. And then that already you just go, okay, sit back, deep, soak the pressure. Dennis here, Sa here, boom, go.
Yeah.
So it's one of them ones, you know. So we kind of can see that coming.
Yeah, and that's my fear. And again, let's be very clear. I'm not saying that all of a sudden that Watford are going to be Premier League champions next year. If you are a betting man, stick a cheeky fiver on it. You never know what happen. But all I'm saying is that ultimately we're going to have a situation whereby they've got pace in their wide areas. Sissoko can run all day long. He's an athlete. Yeah, maybe not technically gifted on the ball, but he can run all day long. He can bring the ball out. Yeah, he can run. If you dispossess him, he'll work hard to win it back. He's just a nuisance. He's a pest. Yeah. So they've got some assets in their midfield area. I just think that we're going to have to be more compact in terms of at the start of the game. We're going to dominate possession as we intend to. We probably will. But can we make it count? Can Mo Salah get in behind them? Can Mane get in behind them? And my next question to you, SS, is going to be, who is that central striker? Are we going to see Firmino in there, or are we going to see Jota come into there?
Yeah, good question. I think tactically Firmino, because let's be fair, they've got 3 centre-backs out injured. So he's going to be, you know, he's so intelligent as a forward, isn't he? He's going to be pulling to pieces, dropping into that false 9 position and opening those gaps for a Mane and a Salah who have got, 10 goals between them in the Premier League already. So tactically, I would go for Firmino. And in terms of Jota having that little knock, I don't see him starting. I think he could potentially get half an hour, 25 minutes. But yeah, I mean, Bobby didn't go away with Brazil, stayed at Kirkby. I nearly said Melwood then. You know, the whole time, done all the tactics. You know, he's going to have been most prepared for this game. I know Jota did come back a bit early, didn't he, with that knock, which was quite kind of Portugal to do for a change. But I wouldn't be surprised if both featured, but I think Bobby definitely starts.
Yeah. Do you know what? I've been thinking about it, giving it a lot of thought. I reckon he could start all 4.
Yeah, it's a good question.
I think he could start all 4. We're looking at a midfield issue, and guys, I don't want to ring the alarm, but it's a bit of a crisis. We've got Thiago out, we've got Elliott out, we've got no Jones. Keita is just on the edge of kicking another blade of grass. You know, we got a bit of a situation developing here in terms of midfield. So could he be tempted to go with just a straight front 4? SMS, I'll come to you on that.
I mean, like you said, rightfully so. I mean, he could be tempted when you look at the options that we've got in midfield. Naby Keita, like we've already said, played 3 games in a week and a half, and that's, like I said earlier, it's very unheard of. Obviously, then you've got Ox, who's trained all international duty. His last game against Norwich was very, very poor. And obviously, if Ox can't get into this team with the amount of injuries that we've got in midfield, then obviously you might as well go home. So yeah, I mean, if obviously we had the choice, I'd think, yeah, why not? Let's go with all 4, because obviously they've got the 3 main centre backs out. why not go for it? You know, it worked against Man City, like we said before. It worked in the first 45 minutes against Man City, so why can't it work against, in all fairness, a lower opposition in Watford? So I'd love to see it. Whether or not Klopp does it's another thing. He'll probably stick with his trusted 4-3-3, but I'd like him to just throw a spanner in the works and just go for it, go gun ho, because Ranieri won't be expecting it if we do.
I agree. Look, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, and this is a bit of a curveball because I didn't expect to discuss it tonight. But is his Liverpool career over? Is it done? I think we need to have this open conversation from a fan.
Yeah, we'll find out on the weekend.
Yeah,
because if he doesn't play in an injury crisis of a midfield, then there's your answer. Because it's simple as that, right? Because I don't think he plays all four, because with Atletico not too far away, it's something that he has to keep an eye on too. So
yeah,
I think whilst you have Oxlade there, and even though Naby played 3 games in 10 days, he's still fit and he's still eligible to play. I think we have enough midfielders to play 3 of them. It's just, are they the right ones? But at the end of the day, if you can save some legs in Jota for a little bit for the Atletico match, or to help Mane get some rest, or to help Salah get some rest, because they all played internationally. Even Salah went to Egypt. So
yeah,
they've all played. So you do need someone on the bench that you can come on and actually give some rest to the front 3 heading into the match away, especially the one that we're going to cop in Spain, that kind of match that we're going to have. So I hate having one eye on the next match, but for this particular situation, I think we need to, because so many, have played international games, and it's so frustrating. Like SS said earlier with Van Dijk. I mean, I watched that game. He got a goal and assist. The guy was doing stepovers like on his own. Like there was like, what is this match worth playing? Like, I could have played in that match if they wanted to. Like it's And he plays a full 90. So I think that's something that we do have to keep an eye. I'd love to see all 4 play, but I think we have to just keep an eye on the next match in the Champions League.
I want to see Gibraltar Andorra. That's what I want to see.
Do you know what?
It's
funny though, because you look at it and you think about the Atletico game. We could potentially, if we win that, the group's wrapped up. No, if we win it, the group's wrapped
pretty
up.
much, yeah.
So is Jurgen Klopp going to be looking at that and thinking, I could have this group done, dusted, finished, finite, if I go and win at Atletico? Does that leave spaces for the likes of Divock Origi to get out of the basement and play a game of football? Does that leave spaces for rotation in the back 4? Do we see Tsimikas come into that back 4? Do we potentially see Konate come into that back 4 and Van Dijk rested because he's played a number of games in that international break? SS, you and I discussed this over WhatsApp in a group conversation. I think personally Van Dijk's rested, and I think that Konate comes in with the view that Atletico is next up, with the view that Manchester United follows. They're 2 big fixtures.
Yeah.
Virgil has looked like he's just slotted back in, like the knee thing never happened. But this is the risky time. He's played a lot of football and he hasn't looked out of shape. I personally still think he's in 3rd gear. I think there's many more gears left to go in this season for Virgil van Dijk. He's just cruising like a Rolls Royce should. But there is the risk that throwing him into a stupid game against Gibraltar like the Netherlands have done, where he's nutmegging players in the box and putting chipped balls in for assists.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then to go into the Watford game, and when we've got another potential Rolls Royce of a centre back in Ibrahim Konate, what's your thoughts?
Well, they've got to play at some point, haven't they? I mean, you look at Van Dijk. I think if he plays against Watford, Atletico and United, he's got 5 games in 17 days or something, which is a lot for someone that's been out for a year. So, we spent 36 million on Konate. He's not a Nat Phillips sitting in the reserves. He's been bought to play matches, and if you've got 3 games in a week, then he needs to play in one of them, doesn't he? Otherwise, why did we buy him? If if we were happy with Nat Phillips being fourth choice and never playing, then that was fine. We could have spent 36 million somewhere else. So Konate has to play at some point, and Tsimikas is another one that has deserved his place and his rotation and his chances as well. So, you know, we could see both of them start against Watford. I mean, yes, they've got a new manager, but you know, we've seen Klopp rest players against Crystal Palace in the Premier League as well. I think Konate started that one. Could we see one or the other against Atletico out of Matip and Van Dijk, and then both back for United? Maybe one rested Watford, one rested Atletico. That would probably be my bet. So you look at Atletico Madrid as the more trickier game. So maybe Van Dijk's rested for that one. Matip's rested at the weekend. I don't know. It's difficult because Matip doesn't play international football, so there's not really any reason to rest him this weekend. So
yeah, but this disclaimer: Matip needs every bit of rest he can get.
He's been all right. He's been all right so far.
1 or 2 games away from a dodgy hamstring or a groin or something. Guys, touch all the wood you possibly can.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it would make sense to go with Tsimikas, Konate, Matip, Trent tomorrow. Atletico, you know, go Gomez and Van Dijk potentially. Bring Robertson back in for that one, and then the usual back four against United that you'd expect to see, because it's I think is it Tuesday to Sunday, so that you know there's plenty of rest in there. But yeah, you know, you can't just play the same 11 every week, because we've seen what happens when you do that. It eventually you hit a brick wall. So I would have no qualms tomorrow about them coming in. The only kind of thing that makes me think that they might not do as much rotation is because Alisson and Fabinho aren't there.
I hear you, and stability is key in any title winning team. Look, Jurgen Klopp was very, very vocal in his press conference as well about the situation with Joe Gomez, as we are talking about rotation and injuries and so on and so forth. Joe Gomez is coming back from a horrific knee injury, and for a young player who's had so many injuries, you've almost got to manage him very, very carefully. But could this be an opportunity for Joe Gomez to get some much-deserved minutes? And SMS, I'm going to come to you on this one. He didn't play international football over the break. He wasn't called up by Gareth Southgate. And Jurgen Klopp made kind of a snide comment, a bit of a pop at Gareth Southgate in regards to the inclusion of John Stones, because John Stones hasn't kicked a ball for Manchester City this season, but yet alone finds himself at the heart of the England defence for both international games, and Joe Gomez is overlooked. Now, again, I'm not sitting here saying that it's not with good reason that John Stones was picked, because last season he was unbelievable for Manchester City. So you can see the pedigree of the player, and Joe Gomez was injured for 50% of last year. So maybe Gareth Southgate doesn't quite know where Joe Gomez is at in terms of his recovery, and would it be a risk to bring him back into the international fold? But we certainly know where he's at in his recovery. Does Joe Gomez deserve more minutes? And in a game like Watford, is this an ample chance to try and get him some much-deserved minutes?
Yeah, definitely. It's like SS touched upon. I think if Alisson and Fabinho were playing, I think it wouldn't have been a question. I still think he may make one change in that centre-back. I think Van Dijk definitely will probably get rested tomorrow. So I think it'll be Matip alongside either a Konate or a Joe Gomez. I don't know which one he's going to play. Both have trained this week as well, Gomez and Konate, so it's a difficult decision. But if, like SS said, if Alisson and Fabinho were both playing, then potentially I think he would have maybe rotated both Matip and Van Dijk and played Konate and Gomez in this game. But I just don't think you can risk playing both of them. I think one of them will definitely start, but obviously the other one's going to be on the bench. And with regards to Gomez himself being in the England side, it's I don't think he's particularly ready. I mean, like you say, he's like John Stones. He hasn't played many minutes this season, but then Gomez, like you say, has come back from a long-term injury where John Stones hasn't, so it's more of a risk. So maybe, I don't know if Klopp's had a word with him and said to Gareth Southgate, don't pick him yet, he's not playing, he's coming back from a long-term injury. just ease him back in. So for me, I personally think it'll be Konate and Matip that start. But you never know. We said off air before that potentially Pep Guardiola and both Jurgen Klopp are fantasy football nightmare for when you come to pick your team. So who knows? Who knows?
I totally agree with you. I personally see rotation in both those positions. I see Gomez and Konate coming in, and I also see Tsimikas coming in as well, solely because of the sheer importance of the Atletico game and also the sheer importance of rhythm heading into the Manchester United game. If we win at Atletico, we top the group. I think the group is dead and buried, albeit a massive turnaround from Porto, a massive turnaround from AC Milan, a massive turnaround from Atletico. We then go into the Manchester United game looking incredibly strong. And I also think if Thiago trains from Monday, he goes into that Man United game. Because I think PK disagrees. I think he does. Only because
I said easily.
Oh, easy. Oh,
I disagree. I disagree.
Okay, all right. Let's do this. I think he does, only because I feel that domination of the ball is going to be vital, because you think you're going to have to nullify Paul Pogba. You're going to have to nullify Bruno Fernandes as their two main threats with the ball. I don't put CR7 in that, because CR7 is a goal scorer. I don't think he offers a threat essentially on the ball, if you get what I mean. Those two have the ability to dominate possession, and we need Henderson and a Fabinho to nullify those two to free Thiago up to do the damage going the other way. That's why I feel Thiago comes in. SS.
I think I think Thiago is more important. I think I'd play no matter if he's fit. He always plays for me, but I think it's more important for the Atletico match, to be fair, because that's the kind of match where we're going to have to pick our passes quite carefully. And let's face it, out of all our midfielders available, he's the best passer of the ball that we have. I think he put everything else aside in terms of ability to find a pass. You're going to have to try and break down Simeone's side. And I think his passing ability to find the way he threads needles and the way he just controls tempo, we're definitely going to need him for Atletico, more so than Man United, I think. So, but again, if it's up to me, he plays both. But if I had to choose one, I prefer he plays against Atletico.
Okay. SS.
Probably won't even be fit for either of them, knowing him. Probably just be injured for another week. So I want nothing more than Thiago to find his form, get his fitness, and be the player he can be. But I've not seen it. There's nothing that says to me that Thiago goes straight back in. Why? Based on what? He's not done anything this season at all. So if Curtis Jones is fit, he plays ahead of him. I think even Keita is a 50-50 to maybe even 60-40 to play ahead of him currently. So nothing wrong with Thiago coming on as a sub. If he's fit for Atletico and plays really well for half an hour, brilliant. He can be a sub again and come on against United. But there's no way for me that he's going to start. If he's injured for Watford, I'm not sure he starts in the next two big games. I think he might feature, but he's not starting for me.
I'm all for players getting game time based on previous endeavours and playing great football for the club. What I am also a firm believer in is that there's more than one way to skin a cat. You have different tools to do different jobs. As I've said many a times, you don't use a spoon to dig a hole. You don't use a shovel to eat your breakfast. It's very, very different. If you put Thiago into a game against Atletico, like PK said, we're going to dominate possession. We need to get the ball. We need to use the ball in the right way. I don't think Curtis Jones, personally, against a well-drilled Simeone side, has the not necessarily lacks the ability. I don't think he has the know-how, the tactical prowess to do that. Thiago's a seasoned performer. He's won everything there is to win in the game.
But don't you think he's got to earn his place again? I mean, I think Curtis Jones is here. I think Keita is here. And I think Thiago is here based on this season. I think Thiago needs to earn his way back up again. He can't just get chucked back in again. That's not fair.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm all for players getting game time based on merit. But let's be very, very clear. I understand that Curtis Jones is there in terms of playing games. I understand that Keita is here in terms of playing games. I understand Thiago's here in terms of playing games. But Thiago's here in terms of ability.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Jones is here in terms of Keita's here in terms of. So if we're talking about a tool to go in and play in a game, you don't go outside and dig your hole because you have breakfast every single morning with a spoon. You go and get the shovel because it's going to get the job done. And that's why I feel like in these big games, you've got to pick the right tool to do the job. And
if it's not blunt.
I agree. And if he's available, if his fit and is available, you kind of answered the question yourself. If he's fit and available, he plays in that game. If you're talking about playing against Watford and you're talking about playing against Preston North End and teams like that, then yeah, whoever's been playing the most games plays in those games. But the biggest games, the most stellar occasions, is where you bring out your top tier ballers. Some of the best footballers some of the best players ever in world football were saved for the best games. You didn't see Zidane playing week in, week out against bottom tier teams. He just didn't do it. He played against the best teams because you took him out, you brought him out in those best games. It's the same. Thiago deserves the same respect for me. PK, I can see you want to say something.
No. It's true. Like I look again. I think what Thiago has up here in terms of IQ to play the game. I think it's an encyclopedia itself. I think it's a computer system in there that just knows how to figure things out. But for me, again, you look at the Atletico match. It says please play Thiago underneath it. So it goes Liverpool versus Atletico underneath. It says please play Thiago. I just think that's how it works. Because of the style that we're going to face, it's you've got to look at the match. I think the Man United match, I think we need to be focusing a bit more on the Watford thing because that's not going to be an easy game. I think we're talking like we're gonna beat Watford and get through that. But I think if Thiago's fit via Atletico, he plays. But I think with the Tsimikas shout for the tomorrow, or for us it's tonight, for you guys tomorrow, it's fucking weird. But I think Tsimikas is a top shout because if they're going to be compact and set up the spaces, Tsimikas' delivery from deep is to get around kind of a deep line. It's better than Robbo's the way he does it. I'm not saying he's a better player because that's going to start World War III, but
don't do it. Don't do it.
I think because what Robbo's specialist at is probably perfect for our next week, Atletico United. What he's unbelievable at, it screams Robbo. For a deep line kind of team where you maybe need to get a ball in early whilst they're trying to reorganize their defensive structure, I think Tsimikas is absolutely perfect for it. Like Trent on the other side, by the way.
I agree.
But yeah, just it's interesting because we've got no idea who's going to start. I've been thinking about it for 3 days now. I just can't do it.
But
go back to the Joe Gomez thing and the Kanate thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think Gomez deserves to start, not Kanate. I think Gomez has been doing the hard yards before Kanate. Kanate, just like SS says about earning your place, I think he's got to do a bit more too. Like maybe he's not doing enough at training. 21 years old, who knows what's happening there? But I think Gomez is. You look at his face in the photos; he just looks like he's angry and he wants to play. And if someone who's got that there, you play them. You know what I mean? It's one of them ones. And I think with the pace of Sarr and Dennis, you got to play someone with pace. You just have to play the quick player there.
Yeah, I agree. Guys, we're at that point in the show. Yeah. The point where we take a little stroll down memory lane. Caption for you. Shadow of a doubt is cast over Liverpool's cloak of invincibility. Who remembers that dark day when Watford beat us 3-0? And it
was that week.
Yeah.
We versed Atletico the same week, and that's where COVID started during that game. I've got PTSD from this week coming.
When you see them pictures back to back, you're like,
Yeah.
Wake me up. Like it's
not again.
And this is why I've brought it up, because it was that week. It was in February where we play against Watford, we lose 3-0. We play against Atletico, and the game almost looks like it's in the bag. And then out of nowhere, we end up throwing the game away. Adrian, yeah.
Loris Adrian.
Yeah.
Listen. Adrian, Loris Karius. There's levels. Anyway.
No.
Levels of shit.
Yes, guys. Do not let your hate for Loris Karius blind you.
It's like picking which way you want to die, isn't it? Of which goalie you want to put in goal.
He's
same end product.
Don't let your bias, your PTSD from Madrid and Bournemouth blind you. He is a better goalkeeper than Adrian. And do you know what? I'm going to say it with my chest. He's a better goalkeeper than
Spurs,
Callahan.
Real Madrid, Bournemouth. I could go on.
No, listen, I said it. He's better. Anyway, we digress. Where were you when SS? Where were you when Liverpool lost?
I was polishing my replica trophy, ready for an unbeaten season, and quickly decided to hide it away. We were getting ready for the golden Premier League trophy, weren't we? But wasn't to be. Yeah, it was a strange one, like you say, and no one turned up. We'd been, like you said, invincible. We'd looked unbelievable the whole season, hadn't we? And then suddenly, this tiny little Watford team, I think Ismail Sarr scored 4 goals that season, and 2 of them were against us, something like that.
Yeah, he could have had a hattie.
Yeah, I mean, it was a dark day, wasn't it? It was like the Villa 7-2 game. Just one of them games you just look at it and you think, wow, okay, it's just everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. Well, he's only because no one else wanted him. I think he genuinely had a chance to move, didn't he? And then they decided to pull out. But yeah, it wasn't a fun time. Liverpool were awful that day, but yeah, we still won the league. All right, it wasn't with 100 points, it wasn't unbeaten, but you know, we'd been waiting our entire lives, all 4 of us, to see that moment, and we saw it eventually that season. So I genuinely had a moment in probably my teens, my 20s, that I thought I'd maybe never see Liverpool lift the Premier League title. So once is good enough. I've seen us win everything at least once now. It's a bonus from here in.
I agree. PK, on that day, what was you up to?
I believe that game here was about 1:30 in the morning.
And you were definitely watching.
Yeah, we're definitely watching. And it's funny, after about 15 minutes into the match, I remember texting my best mate, just saying, this doesn't feel right today. Like, it was just one of the matches that straight away when it started, the passes weren't sticking. They were getting first to every ball. They were winning their 50-50s. Stuff like Van Dijk was making mistakes, and that's how you knew, like, it's a different day. Like, someone had to put a cast, like a black magic kind of thing on us with the voodoo doll. But because the kind of mistakes that Van Dijk was making, you'd expect, Lovren to make. Mm-hmm. And maybe it was because Lovren was next to him. I don't know. Maybe it rubbed off onto him. But it's something that game, the only thing I really remember out of that game, besides feeling embarrassed, was it doesn't feel right. It didn't feel like we were there as Liverpool Football Club, that group that year.
Yeah, I agree.
Brought back memories. Was it Tommy Mooney that used to always used to beat us with Watford in the early 2000s? Always used to be a bogey team for us, didn't they?
Yeah. SMS, where were you that day, my man? What was popping for you?
I think I was in the pub as usual, watching it. So yeah, drowning my sorrows obviously after the game. Sulkin, didn't watch any Sky Sports news, anything like that. Just turned football off for a week until we're playing again. So yeah, just couldn't bring myself to watch it.
Yeah,
I agree.
It was. Yeah, Deeney dominated him, didn't he?
I watched that game, and
he scored.
Yeah, he did. He lifted it over Alisson and over Van Dijk, didn't he? God, I remember that game, and it just gave me like Crystal Palace vibes. Like, it just gave me Crystal Palace vibes, where we just couldn't get into gear. I just feel that there was a distinct level of complacency that crept into our performance in that game, and I feel it frustrates me because I see Virgil do it sometimes, whereby he's like, I'm better than these. I'm better than them. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
I love it. I fucking love it.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. It's just an arrogancy of I'm a god. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you just see it in his performance. And sometimes it comes off, and it's godly. And sometimes it's just like, oh my god, Aston Villa 7-2, or oh my god, Watford 3-0. There's just those moments, those little blotches of ink on the little moments of soil on the clean sheet, and you're thinking, dude, just play, like, do you know what I mean? Play your top tier football. Just park these lot off. We move, and I genuinely hope that Watford do not take any confidence from those previous results. But speaking of results, it is the time of the show that I know my current club hosts enjoy. It is score predictions. Now, if all of you guys in the comments, you already know I hate score predictions solely because I have
You get them wrong.
Not only do I get them wrong, but I have a sneaky suspicion. And I cannot prove it yet. And I'm sure that you, the audience, will be able to help me prove this, that my co-hosts are in cahoots together.
Chris has already got my score.
I feel that these guys are talking to each other pre-game and using this same score predictions. But alas, I'm sure it will all wash out at the end of the season. So I'm gonna go to SS first. Give me your score prediction for Watford. Oh, he's even written it down. Is that a 3-0, is it?
It was at 9:20, so you know it wasn't just done. 2-0.
Yeah. And I bet that SMS is at 9:21. But
No, I didn't write the time down. I just wrote it on. I've wrote it down, but I haven't wrote the time down. No.
So SS, you're going 3-0, yeah?
2.
So 2-0. 2-0. All right, lock it in. SS is going 2-0. PK, score prediction.
1-0. 1-0 Liverpool. Yeah. Let's just say 1-0 Liverpool. Yeah. Yeah.
1-0
wins a win.
Yeah.
SMS.
Can you see that?
Go out a bit.
You going
3-1.
Oh, 3-1.
3-1, yeah.
3-1.
Salah to bag 2, Mane to get 1, yeah?
Yes, that's right.
All right. Okay. I think I'm going emphatic. I'm going statement.
Always.
I'm going statement. I'm going 5-0.
Oh, yes, please. Me and Thiago's father are actually at Vicarage Road, so that would be very welcome.
I'm going 5-0. I'm going.
We will
5,
be there.
Yeah, I think that we park them off. I think we park them off. Like, I think we go emphatic.
Maybe I should triple captain Salah then.
Yeah, and I think, and we got comments in here as well, guys. Get your score predictions in as well. Salah hat trick, and guys, bit of housekeeping as well. We are marching our way to 500 subscribers. Please like and subscribe, and make sure you press the bell notification so you do not miss anything coming up from the Red Sea podcast. But guys, smash the like, smash the comments. Let us know your score predictions. Hold on, Thiago's father, always ambitious. Listen, I'm here for the entertainment. Of course I am. I'm always ambitious with the score lines. Any more score predictions in the comments as well before we start to wrap the show up? Make sure you get those in early doors as well. As I said, I'm going 5-0. Thiago's father going to the game. Please do not wear the horrible third kit.
To be fair, if you wore it tomorrow, you'd be a Watford fan, yellow and red.
That's it. Update on the yellow kit. I did say previously that I was looking to send the yellow kit back, but I must confess that it grew on me too much, and I've kept it. It's in my wardrobe.
Oh no!
I've kept it. I couldn't part with it. Look, I like this one. Just win. Yeah. Win at all cost. Win at all cost.
Yeah.
We've got another one in here. 2-0 Watford. Guys, we're at 419 subscribers. Can we get that to 420 subscribers before we end the show? So if you're not already, make sure you are liking and subscribing the Red Sea podcast. Any more score predictions in here will be great. So give us your score predictions for us as well. And guys, also in the comments, we're looking for our regular viewers. We're looking for a moderator. So if anybody would like to get involved and be a moderator for the Red Sea podcast, please get in contact. Drop us a DM, drop me a DM, SS a DM, SMS a DM, PK a DM. Any one of us, just send a DM in and we'll talk and we can get you in moderating and explain to you what the moderator will do. But like Chris, like you're in here all the time. Drop us a DM if you'd like to be a moderator for the show. Got a couple of guys.
Oh, he's gone.
Chris got rid of him already.
He's given the moderator job and he's booted him out. Oh well, hopefully he'll join us back. But otherwise, it's that's been a good show. We're up to the hour. Fingers crossed, Liverpool do get the 3 points. There's a few other big fixtures this weekend, isn't there, with the other title rivals? So hopefully we can steal a march on them. But I think he's just made it back for his clothes. Here he is.
I don't know what happened there. But yeah, guys, if you want to be a moderator, hit us up in the DMs. We'd like to get you involved. The show must go on, as they say. But guys, thank you for joining us for the Fab 4 preview. PK, tell us what we've got coming up on the Red Sea Down Under over the next course of the week for me, please.
Yeah, so for the first time potentially ever, it definitely will be the first time, we might be doing a live training ground for the Atletico match. Awesome. So for the UK listeners, it will be a Monday about 10 a.m. on a Monday. So we might be, so we're looking at trying to do a live one because it's such a kind of a big match and it's something that everyone wants to know about, breaking down Simeone's team. So the theme for the training ground on Monday will be breaking down Atletico Madrid.
And guys, if you haven't already, make sure you catch the training ground show. All the pre-recorded shows are available on the channel listing on the YouTube. There is some real tactical insight in there as well. And we are very different from a lot of other podcasts out there. We actually have a pro licensed coach doing our tactical breakdown. So these are real tactical opinions, not made up. Probably about what we now on, PK, what at the shows you've done, you're probably 90% succession in terms of how the team's going to play, aren't we?
So we haven't been. So we've either been right how we score and how we do our stuff, or we've either been right how the other team has set up and trying to score against us. So we're pretty much spot on with Manchester City, how we fucked that game up, which I hope we were wrong, but we weren't. The Brentford stuff, we kind of got right. It was the way we scored against Crystal Palace was actually 1,000,000% correct, and we even clipped the videos for it. I mean, this week was a bit tough, like I said, because we don't know what they're going to do, but we came up with our, opinion through research and videos. But the Atletico one is going to be a lot of, I'm probably going to start working on that today. It's going to be a fucking, that's going to be tough. But for live, it's for the people, it's for the show, it's for everybody. So, a bit of fun as well.
Yeah, definitely. And that's a big show, guys. I absolutely love that show. Guys, 420 sub. Come on. Hit that subscription button. We're on 419.
I need one more.
Hit the sub button. We've got 2 more minutes before we close the show. I want 420 subscribers before we leave. Let's go. I'm watching. Chris, what is that comment as well? Chris, you can't time out the 3-star swordsman.
That's what we need. 3-star swordsman against Chris Welch.
Yeah, as Vegas. I think that could be cool. But guys, seriously, hit us up in the DMs, man. You guys are always in here. We want to get our viewers involved in the show as much as possible. So if you're interested in being a moderator, drop us a DM. We don't bite. Well, SS does, but I don't. So
I'll let them know what we've got coming up while we're waiting anyway for that last subscriber. So I think we're not doing our usual Red Sea full time on Day Trippers tomorrow, are we? We're going to do our very own outside the ground right here on the Red Sea podcast. So if you see us, come and say hello. We're going to be doing some live reaction outside the ground. Oh, here we go. 420. Happy days. Well done, guys. So we'll be doing that after the game outside Vicarage Road. It's only down the road for me and TF. We've got Fab 4 Atletico Madrid preview Sunday night this time. So keep an eye out for that as well. And we'll do another Red Sea full time after Atletico on Tuesday. So all roads lead to United after that, don't they?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Here we go. Guys, look into the training ground, and you will find out.
Well,
you will find out.
Well, the thing,
Maybe
it's not exactly how when Liverpool don't call us and tell us what they're doing. We kind of just we have our thing of how what we think they could do or what we could do to try and beat Watford. That's just what we do. Yeah,
I agree. People. But we could be talking to Jurgen Klopp's PA's girlfriend. You never know.
Yeah,
or we could be talking to the dinner lady's husband. That's how these things work. But yeah, look into the training ground, and I'm sure you'll find out. But guys, as we close, thank you for 420 subs. It's really appreciated. Can we get another one in there? 421. Not asking too much. But yeah, look, guys, we know where we're at. I'm Tiago's father 89. My co-host over there, Southern Scouser. My sub-host over here, SMS, and one of our other sub-hosts and lead hosts over on the Red Sea podcast down under, PK the GOAT. We've been the Red Sea podcast on our Fab 4 preview for Watford. Thank you for liking, subscribing. Thank you for joining us. And guys, as I mentioned, moderators, hit up the DMs. Do not forget, I want to see my DMs absolutely raging tonight and talking about how we can get you guys involved. But as I said, I've been Tiago's father. Thank you for joining us. We're over and out.